Hi there, welcome back to my channel. My name's Alyssa. I find that I don't have as much issues with it untightening or unscrewing. Untightening. Today I will be doing a short little review of my Chiagoo Interchangeable needle set. I am obsessed with these needles and I hope to share some information about them if you're on the fence on whether or not you want to get them. So the first set that I actually got from Chiagoo, that's an interchangeable set, is their Red Lace Shorty set. I got this because I was making a tank top that was really tiny and I didn't have any needles and I was ready to make an investment. I had purchased, or I had been using a set of circular needles, interchangeable circular needles, the Takumi bamboo ones, and I don't know why I made the jump. I think that I couldn't purchase more sizes in the Takumi set, that it was like they didn't offer any other needles in that set, and so I was looking for an option that would work well for the tank top project but also a pair of socks. And then I got into this like deep rabbit hole of like beautiful, amazing interchangeable needles. So this set right now is available on Amazon for $93, which is pretty steep actually. Like I definitely think they're worth it, don't get me wrong. Like they're a good value once you own them and you know what you're like in for. But at the time I was a fairly new knitter and this was my first stainless steel needle purchase, and so that's kind of a lot. It's a lot of needles, but it's also a lot of money to invest in something that you're not sure you're going to like. In hindsight, I wish I would have done it months earlier. I'm obsessed with the stainless steel needles. I love how easily they slide off the needle tip, which is, I think for most people, they're pro and they're con, depending on how you like to knit. So the lace weight, or the lace shorties, come with two different size lengths. These smaller ones are 2 inches, and then the row above are 3 inches, and they come in 6 sizes from 2 millimeter to 3.25 in quarter steps. These are really great for me. I prefer knitting smaller gauge, like smaller weight projects, and so these are a really great tool to have in your toolkit. If I were to recommend to someone an interchangeable set, I probably wouldn't start with the lace weight unless you're intending to either make a lot of socks or like dive specifically into like lace weight, fingering weight projects. I've only used these like 3 or 4 times since purchasing them. Again, I think they're worth it. They're really high quality. The join in them seems very tight. Let me just check these ones. The thing I like about the Chiagoo ones is you can use the T tool to sharpen it or to tighten it. You can see there's like a little hole on the end, so you use that, like it's like a big pin to tighten the needle. So the join is really good, though. Yeah, it's a big investment for like not as versatile of a set. But honestly, that leads me into my small and large Chiagoo interchangeable needle set. This one comes with a great carrying case, and it also came with some accessories, and it has a much wider range of needles. Okay, so this one is on Amazon right now for $101, which this comes with like double the amount of materials that the other one did. So I don't know why the other one was so much more expensive. Let me put these back in quick. But these ones go from 2.75 to 10 millimeters. So there's a really wide range of projects that this one is good for. One thing I don't love about this set is the needles on this side use a different size cable than this side. You can buy like adapters for, I believe, to go from large to a small cable. I don't know that this is what that is what this is called. Yeah, you can go from large to small, but you can't go from small to large. So you can't use a small needle with a large red cable, which I guess in theory makes sense. Like the smallest small needle wouldn't fit, like the large cable is bigger than the smallest small needle. So I get it, but it is kind of frustrating to have to make sure you're choosing the right cable size for the right needle set. So I think I would have preferred maybe that this set of needles, like maybe it starts at like a 4 so that they can have the full range. Though I will say like 4 and down is my most commonly used needle, so maybe that would work worse. That would be worse for me. So it's kind of nitpicky, but it is something to note. When you first use one of these needles, I find that the join is not very tight, particularly for the larger sizes. You have to be pretty cautious and like keep your eye on the join and make sure that it's not getting too loose. I will say with practice in noticing the join between the needle and the cable, you can feel when it's starting to pull out a little bit before it gets to like a dangerously loose spot. It's not ideal, honestly, like it kind of stinks, but as you use the needle size, it happens way less frequently. Like with the size 2, 3, and 4 that I use very often, I almost never have to retighten the needle and cable join. So it's not the end of the world. I think there will always be some sort of tightening required when you're using an interchangeable set, just by the nature of what you're doing. I find that they loosen easier if my project is spread pretty tight around the cable. Like if I work with a smaller cable than maybe is suggested, so if I work with a smaller cable length than suggested so the stitches glide easier around, I find that I don't have as much issues with it untightening or unscrewing. Untightening. But honestly, at that point in your project, are you like going to change the length of cable? For me, probably not. Like I'm kind of the master of my own demise. So unless it's really terrible, I don't usually change. And so unfortunately that, that doesn't really work for me if I pick the wrong one from the get-go. But I do prefer to knit on a shorter cable length anyways, as it is. So I don't run into this problem super often. I do love the carrying case that this one comes with. It has an outside pocket and it came with stitch markers. I love the stoppers on these needles. I don't love the stitch markers. I prefer stitch markers that open and close because I they always get stuck. Like I mess something up and they get stuck, and with these ones, you can't fix, you have to drop back to fix it. And so here's a gauge tool, which I never ever use. I honestly didn't know that it had a ruler on it, which was like super convenient. So I actually might start using that. Because there are two different sizes of cables, it comes with two different sizes of like cable stoppers. So if you need to take the needles off and use them for a different project or put it on hold, you can use these. You can buy extra sets of these on Amazon for like $5 or $6, and I find them super, super handy. The packaging is great. I almost exclusively use light bulb stitch markers for my stitch markers, like just the light bulb. Here, I'll show you an example. Safety pins, just one of these. And the tightener, or like the hole that you use to tighten these, the light bulb stitch markers fit in perfectly in both the small, the large, and I believe the lace weight size, which is super handy because I don't even have to buy more of these stoppers. I can just use my light bulb stitch markers. They're a little less secure, so depending on how big your stitches are, use this tip with caution, but for the small needles and the lace weight, it's totally fine. It's definitely secure enough. I would, yeah, definitely caution on like anything over 6mm needles. I am someone who really cannot stand hearing like inconsistent noises. So like, you know, something I'm thinking of is like somebody like clipping their nails, for example. Like it's the same noise, it doesn't happen at the same rate, so it's not like repetitive. And I was really worried that the stainless steel needle clicking would bother me, but I actually don't mind it at all. I think because I'm the one in control, maybe it's kind of like driving, right? Like if you hit the brake when you're driving, it seems a lot more aggressive to the rest of the car than it does for the driver. Anyways, that was an unnecessary tangent. But yeah, the sound doesn't bother me at all, though I thought it would. I've had these for over a year now. There's no tarnishing. They're in really good condition still. I've only had one cable get a pretty gnarly bend in it, and it was because I did something dumb and like tried to yank a twist out that shouldn't have been yanked. I should have actually like gone through and uncurled the twist. The buying extra needles or like the missing ones is very reasonable. Chiagoo is like a very good in between price point, I think. It is high, like it definitely is an investment into your hobby. These ones they're not like etched. The size information is not etched, it's just printed, but I'm looking at the ones that I use pretty often and I'm not seeing any like buffing, though I do hold my needle tips very close to, or I hold my needles very close to the tips. I am almost never putting pressure down by where the writing is on the bottom. Okay, so I said basically, I do think they're a good value. Like I was saying, they are an investment, but if you consider, I think one fixed needle can cost like $8 to $10, and there are 13. So, I mean, if that's $10, that's $130. It's already a $30 discount. Something I would recommend if you've never used stainless steel needles before is maybe buy one fixed set of the Chiagoo to make sure you like them. The benefit with Amazon is you can try something out and return it, and they have a very, generous return policy. So if you don't like it, you can return it. Overall, I'm super satisfied with the Chiagoo needles. I may upgrade in the future, but I have no plans to in the near term. I would love to know what needles you knit with, so please leave a comment below if you think I am missing out and I need to try something new. I'm happy to check something out. Until then, I'll see you next time.